Alright, three, two, one. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Fighting Roundtable, the show where we talk about any specific topic about what is going on in the fighting world, and we have a really long discussion about it. Hopefully, you'll take whatever bits and pieces you get from the discussion, and hope you can add a little bit to it, and hopefully, we can learn a lot from it. So, with me here is Brady Briggs. He is a reporter from MMAbeats.com. Thank you for joining me, Brady.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
All right. So, the topic of today is identity. Now, I want to make it as broad as possible so we can talk about it as much as possible, especially considering the events that occurred last weekend. So, what I mean by identity, it could be persona. What do you identify as? And it could come from anything that is in anything in the world today. When it comes from culture, TV, where you identify in the state, where you identify with your city, with your county, with your race, ethnicity, status. I just want to make it as open ended so we could, I guess, talk about what it means when you identify with something in particular, how you come to that conclusion, and what does it mean in the fighting world. So, what I wanted to start with this discussion is, I guess, what happened over at over last week. I seen like a little bit of a trend from boxing with Anthony Joshua and Andy Ruiz, and just recently with the UFC 238 with the fights that happened in the prelims, early prelims, I think the ESPN prelims, and the main card.
Mm-hmm.
And it was basically about how Mexico was rising in the fighting world. Don't underestimate the Mexican style of fighting. Mexico power, all that stuff.
Mexicans, I don't know. They're kind of like New Jersey fighters, but in a different way. Like there's something in the water there. They're all so tough. Tony Ferguson too. Tony Ferguson, he just had what is the word? Pretty vintage trademark performance where he just pressure. He had a real piston of a jab too. I haven't really seen much of a jab in his game. Surprising, he's 26-3 and he's only used a jab throughout a fight a couple times. And then Henry Cejudo, dude, he blew me away, man. First off, he sprained his ankle. Okay, no one knew that, but if that's not bad enough, you can take that ankle injury away and just add Marlon Moraes' leg kicks.
Right.
And, that's bad enough. I mean, he was getting cracked with him so hard so many times, and it was affecting his mobility. And he just came out in the second round like, I'm just going to bull rush you, fight you. Like, it's not going to be a match. I'm going to fight you. I'm going to be in your face in this boxing range. And even then, I thought Moraes would have the advantage. I thought he had better hands.
Yeah, it looked scary when he was going through that strategy. But I was really surprised by that.
The threat of the takedown and the fact that Marlon was a little tired, I think that has something to do with it. But, there's something to be said about that. Because in Henry Cejudo's two previous fights, he beat Demetrius Johnson via split decision. A lot of people were taking that away from him. Oh, he didn't really beat Demetrius. He got knocked out in the first fight, and he won split decision in the second fight. He didn't really beat him.
Right.
First, I scored it for him. It was 2-2 going into the fifth, and he certainly won the fifth. I guess an opinionated thing. But the other one is TJ Dillashaw. It was an early stoppage. I still believe it was an early stoppage. Now that TJ has been flagged for testing positive for EPO,
right.
I think people don't really care as much, but they still think that it was a premature stoppage, which I do. But you can't really take this one away from him. I mean, the last two, he beat two of the best ever, arguably the best ever, and then the best bantamweight ever, aside from maybe Dominic Cruz. And now I feel like people could say, oh, well, Moraes wasn't in shape. He was tired. He had 3 first-round finishes before, and he just didn't work on his cardio very much. And it's like, well, you can't really say that because Henry was tough enough to take his best in the first round where he finished everybody, and he persevered through it while he was incredibly compromised. And did you see those last 2 rounds? Those last 2 rounds, he pushed the pace so hard. His cardio is insane.
Yeah.
It's hard
I
to
was really
believe.
quite pleased about his performance, especially since he had a lot of had a lot of things to prove and a lot of like doubts to erase from what with the audience.
He kind of the last two rounds of that fight were like the 32 seconds of the TJ Dillashaw fight. He
Yeah,
literally, he was just like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna bite down and I'm gonna throw at this dude,"
I
and it
know.
worked, man.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, you see when he almost anaconda choked
Yeah,
Marlon Moraes?
yeah, I
I
did.
couldn't believe it. I was like, dude, that was deep too. I think it's just because he probably didn't commit 100%.
Yeah,
Honestly, I really think that if he could, because he was in that 100%.
yeah. Were you surprised that Marlon Moraes couldn't defend against the Muay Thai clinch, considering he's a Muay Thai
You know,
kickboxer?
I don't think that he really tried to. He didn't. He didn't look like he showed much effort to
Mm.
do that, which is kind of surprising because Henry cracked him with a lot, and it was literally like he was doing pad work. Like he'd grab the back of his coach's head or
Yeah,
his partner, and then just drill him with a bunch of knees.
yeah.
That's literally it was weird. Or Marlon, I was Sergio instead because of Sergio Moraes. Marlon Moraes didn't even try to get out of it. So
Mm.
I don't even know if those knees really hurt him that bad, considering because if they did, he's definitely skilled enough to get out of a tie clinch,
Mm.
especially against a guy that's not a tie fighter.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah. So yeah. So after all of that, and when I was listening to the press conference, yeah, yeah. After all of that, he did like go into a bit of what it meant to be, what it meant to be a, I guess, a Mexican style fighter. When how he identified with people from Mexico, even though he specified that he was like an American first and
yeah,
foremost
he's an
of Mexican
American.
descent. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and which by the way there was a lot of like like a lot of like Twitter comments back and forth about no, he's American citizen, stop calling him Mexican. I mean, let's just let people identify who they identify, even though yeah, it is the fact. I mean, if he wants to identify as American from descent,
Yeah, I
American
don't.
from Mexican descent, I mean, let's just do it.
I don't understand any of that. I've met a lot of Asians that are Americans.
Mm-hmm.
I've met a lot of black people that are Americans. You
Mm-hmm.
know, just because where they natively come from, they're they're not from where their ancestors are from. You know, just because when if you're born here and you grow up here, you're an American.
Mm-hmm.
Your race is different,
Mm-hmm.
or perhaps could be different.
Mm-hmm.
But if you grow like if I grew up in England, I would be English. If I grew up in Africa, I mean, a lot of people would think this is kind of politically incorrect, but it's really not because you do the same thing with the U.S. I would be considered an African
Mm-hmm.
just because I'm not black. You know, if I was from Brazil, I'd be considered Brazilian. But obviously, I'd have European descent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I feel like a lot of people confuse that.
Yeah, but also it has to do with what I guess what it represents, let alone the details of where you're born. I guess it's just
Yeah,
what it means. Yeah,
Arizona, I think.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, even though yeah he is born in America, it's just what he,
Mhm.
I guess what it means for him being of a particular descent of
Yeah.
being actually winning the championship and winning it in the way he did, kind of like Andy Ruiz did, and all the controversy
Mhm.
that came up with him when we brought up this exact conversation.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's
It's pretty
just
cool.
yeah.
Tony Ferguson might be the next one to get a belt. You know, he's another Mexican American. I
Mm.
think Andrew Ruiz is a Mexican American too,
Yes,
isn't
he
he? Is he
is.
from
Yeah,
Mexico? Yeah.
yeah. I believe he was
Canelo
born in Cali.
Alvarez is Mexican. Canelo's actually Mexican.
Mm-hmm, yeah,
Actually, he looks like he's got a lot of European in him himself, but he's from Mexico. So
yeah. A lot of Europe. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people in Mexico. They come from the Spanish Europeans. Yeah, and I think it was
yeah, it makes sense.
yeah mixed with Inca.
Oh, Spanish. That
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah, and then mixed with I think it was Inca and Mayan. Don't quote me on that. I'll look that in.
There's a lot of
Look
types
up
of
into it.
Indians, bud.
Right.
There's way too many.
Yeah.
To us.
Oh no, not Indians. It's like Mayan and Inca. Yeah, I'm trying
I
to
thought that
remember
was
what the exact lineage is, but yeah, I'll look into it. But yeah, it's more about how you identify and how he identifies with himself, despite the legal technicalities. Uh,
hmm
and yeah, and we've seen Tatiana Suarez fight the same way. Even
Yeah.
though she is born here in America, people identified that
Also
same way with her. And
Yeah, high I am on her, man. She had a tougher fight this
Hmm.
last fight.
Yeah.
I mean, she still won pretty dominantly,
Hmm.
but it wasn't as easy. But Nina Ansaroff, dude, people think she's not good because she's 10-5. Well, she's 10-6 now. But
Hmm.
people look at her record, it's like, dude, I really can't wait until the day where people realize records don't really mean as much as they think they do.
True.
Because you look at someone who's 8-0 fighting someone who's 10-5. Oh, she should finish her easily. No, like I see so many people say shit like that.
Yeah, and there's people. Yeah, and even in the third round, Nina got the best of her because it looked like
Nina's
Tatiana
a very
was,
good fighter.
yeah, it was being, yeah, it was, I guess, a little bit gassed out from all the wrestling. But yeah.
Yeah, she could be.
Hmm.
Nina's very good, man. She's an elite fighter. She's top 5 strawweight,
Hmm. Yeah, and
or
so
6 or 7 anyway, at the very least.
right. Yeah, and it's kind of the same way with like the I think they call it the the African Illuminati or the
Nigerian
Nigerian
Nightmare.
Illuminati. Well, the way that that man, Kamaru Usman and who was the other African born champion? Oh, Israel Adesanya were able to
Yeah,
get their belts, and and since they were born in Nigeria, they they identified with their community, with uh, from the country in which they were born. But there's another aspect of it, another facet of identity. It's I guess it's something that is internal with you, that is individualistic. Specifically with Israel, um, when I was watching his biopic of how he got into MMA, how he grew up, yeah, he talked about like coming to America, but and the reason why he wanted to was through the media he absorbed. Yeah, he saw, uh, yeah, like I think it was like a lot of dramatic shows, a lot of like cops and films and action movies, and he's like, I want to live like that.
Mm-hmm.
And and now that comes and now looking at how he was influenced by anime, you can see the tattoos he has across his stomach, the
Yeah.
lot of anime
So was
references he
Uriah
has.
Hall.
Yeah. And you can see
Cool.
that he identifies a little bit with that aspect of subculture, the and the Japanese anime, video games, and all that stuff. It's
Hey, man,
interesting to
whatever
see
inspires your
how
work.
people, yeah, how there's going to be a rise of that I believe. And I think that's already been a thing because you see fighters coming out to a Mortal Kombat theme song because this is,
Mhm.
yeah, between the 1980s, I think 1990s to now, that generation will be the generation of video games. So you'll see much
Yeah.
more people coming up that grew up on video games and want to express themselves through which with the video games that they've played. Israel Adesanya expressing himself through anime and video games, but mostly through anime. And I wanted to get your opinion on, I guess, how I guess of how you see video games and how you think it'll be expressed in MMA or in the fighting world in general.
I mean, I don't know if they'll really be expressed. It takes a special person to take something from video games like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think more so than anything, most fighters wouldn't take much from them. I wonder if Demetrius Johnson does at all.
Oh,
That's like,
absolutely. Yeah,
I mean,
because I think he was the
an
first
avid.
person to do it.
Oh, he was the first person to be sponsored by Xbox.
Yeah, and
I
yeah, he
think
was an
the only
avid
two
gamer.
actually.
Yeah, he's an avid gamer, and I think yeah, people reference him. I think his the submission when he got over Ray Borg, they referenced like
That
it's
was
something out of a
incredible.
video game. The way he like switched, he
Yeah,
lifted him up in
dude.
the air and immediately switched into a side stance and then got him into an armbar, which was amazing. So yeah,
That was real.
yeah,
That was
I just wonder. I think I can understand something about video games that you would guess draw inspiration from that, and then add it to or actually try to express it in uh, whatever job,
yeah.
whatever
I mean,
industry you're
well,
in. So for fighting, you would see that with Demetrius Johnson and Adesanya.
Joe Rogan said, when Alexander Gustafsson knocked out Glover Teixeira, that it looked like a video game combination.
Yeah,
I mean, when you see
exactly.
video games, like things don't really happen in real life like they do in games.
Yeah.
So when a special talent can do something like that, it's really cool. And I feel like, yeah, maybe it does influence it a little bit
Mm-hmm.
because, you can do flashier shit on, depending on which one it is,
Right.
and take shit from it. But yeah, I think it could benefit you definitely if you have the right mind for it.
Right.
But when you said the African champions, Israel Adesanya and Kamaru Usman,
Mm.
there's when you say Kamaru, that reminded me of something. I've seen this on Facebook, and whoever put this together is a genius. Because normally I think of things like this, and I didn't. The last time Tony Ferguson lost a fight,
Mm.
women didn't fight in the UFC.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Kamaru Usman and Henry Cejudo both had 0 fights.
Wow.
Now they're both champs. One's a champ, and neither of them even have.
Wow. That's a
Ben
lot.
Henderson. Yeah, Ben Henderson was the UFC lightweight champ. Anderson Silva was the middleweight champ. Georges St. Pierre was the welterweight champ, and the flyweight division was only 2 months old. That was the last time he lost.
That's astonishing.
He still hasn't gotten a vacant title shot, and people are saying, "Oh, put him against Gagey." Like that nonsense. Like, dude, why? I didn't even want to see him fight Cowboy, honestly, and I might get some backlash for that. It's a great matchup. Don't get me wrong. Of course, I want to see that matchup, but I want to see all of them fight Khabib. This is why we need a more active lightweight champ, especially like of any weight class. If there needs to be an active champion, it's lightweight. It's so stacked there. Who doesn't want to see, like, just because, say, the winner of Ferguson and Cerrone gets a title shot. Right. Okay, now Khabib fights the best guy. But who doesn't want to see him fight both of them? No. Like, Donald Cerrone's a worthy contender to Khabib. Tony's a worthy contender to Khabib. Justin Gaethje is a worthy contender to Khabib. Yeah. Dustin Poirier is a worthy. That's 4 guys that literally deserve a title shot.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I guess anymore.
Yeah,
but if Khabib beats Dustin, I want to see him fight Ferguson in December. I want Gaethje to fight someone, and then fight him after he fights him. He said in April, Khabib did. And then Cerrone win a couple more fights, and then after that April fight, after Ramadan or something, after he wins a couple more, have him fight Cerrone. I just hate watching these matchups not happen. Yeah. And then they're going to be too old, they're going to be retired, and we're never going to know how it would have went. Well, like, all 4 of them are 4 of the best in the ever.
Well, just to go back of why you think why I think that is, it's mostly because just matching the storyline of getting people interested in the fight. I mean, the first time UFC acknowledged that this fight is the people's main event is Tony Ferguson and Donald Cerrone, at least to this magnitude. And the reason, why that is, and the reason why people, the higher ups at UFC recognized this was a main event for the people, is because of how they identified with them, how they understood their story. It's through their Twitter and just through their accomplishments.
I don't agree with
their fans really connected with them.
Yeah, I don't agree with making it the main event. Like Chael Sonnen and Ariel Helwani had a conversation about that. And they're like, it shouldn't be the main event because there's 2 title fights on the card. The title fights are the most important fights. Yeah. Like, okay, I agree with that. But I wish it could have made it 5 rounds. It doesn't matter anymore because it only made it 10 minutes into the fight.
Right.
But beforehand, it's like it should be 5 rounds. I wonder if the UFC can have the commission make those fights 5 rounds, or if only a title fight or main event can be 5 rounds. I wonder if it's like against the regulations or if it's up to the UFC. I would think it'd be up to the UFC, right?
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah, no other organization does 5 rounds for just main event. They were able to do that.
Yeah.
I didn't like that idea when they first came out with it either. You have 138, Lieben versus Munoz. I didn't like the idea of. I was like, no, title fights are 5 rounds. Like, but now it's like get more minutes. It's like, why not?
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, to go back to identity, I did like the dynamic between Cerrone and Ferguson. Yeah, there's some things that you can
add some camaraderie. I loved it.
Yeah, there's some things you can connect with both of them. One being they're both dads, and we know all the, I guess, all the commotion that happened with Ferguson and with his family, and we're glad that he was able to get the help he needed. And as for Cerrone identifying with himself, identifying with being a dad with the birth of his son,
Yeah.
and bringing that up to the forefront and saying that was his main motivation to keep going, and that was the reason why he wanted to go for a title fight, because he wanted he with the epiphany of being a dad, he wanted to have some sort of legacy to, I guess,
Mhm.
to to put on his career. Now,
They're both within an age of, within a year of each other too. Tony and Donald, and their kids are a pretty similar age too.
yeah,
Which is pretty.
Eh, yeah. So, yeah, before I go into to Ferguson, what and how his persona affects him, and well, what his persona is and how he brings that into fighting. Yeah,
He's one of the.
yeah, gonna balance the light with the dark. There's something interesting about I guess bringing being identified, or bringing the persona of a parent. Yeah, bringing the persona of
I
being a
mean,
parent to the forefront, with Michelle Watterson being trying to be the first mom to be champion, and then and this a meme going around, Daddy Cerrone. Yeah, it's interesting now, seeing how MMA was from just like being a slobber knocker, and now being so mainstream that you want to put put the fact that, yeah, there are parents like fighting to defeat their kids, as it's always been.
I don't
For the
think
majority of the time, that's what it's been. So, well, what do you think about that?
I don't think it's ever really hurt anyone
Mm-hmm.
to be a parent and fight,
Yeah.
because when they're in a training camp, most people don't have to deal with their kids or girl or anything.
Right.
A lot of them go train locally, and then when they're in a camp, they go to a big gym, and they don't have to deal with it. I'm sure some of them don't do that, and they do stay home and have to deal with it, and it may hinder them with their sleep or a little bit or whatever, but they're few and far in between, I'm sure. And if anything, I don't know if it helps a lot of people. I know it helps a good amount of them,
Mm.
but at the very least, I don't think it hurts anyone.
Yeah, but also I
I mean,
think it's a source of power, just knowing that you have someone to fight for, and someone
yeah,
to
exactly.
make you
It's like
proud.
not only to provide for them,
Yeah.
but you don't want them to grow up and then see that you got your ass beat.
Yeah.
I mean, no one who wants to lose a fist
Or
fight
at
in
least
front
to
of
know
them.
you've done your best.
Sucks. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So.
know, it's that's a fine line too
Mhm.
with the whole thing, doing your best, because a lot of people they're like, man, I just didn't like Anthony Smith with John Jones. He's like, I just didn't leave it all in there. It made me so mad. And I get that. I get how it would make you want to fight again, like soon.
Mhm.
But if you gave it your best, I get that you have that self satisfaction to where I didn't give up.
Mhm.
But also, you're like, I'm truly not as good. I realize I'm not as good now. If I didn't give my best, then I know that I might still have a chance. But I
Right.
gave my best and I don't have it.
Mhm.
You know, it's kind of a fine line.
Yeah. But now to, yeah, and now to bring it to like the darker side, there's, yeah, the idea of Tony Ferguson identifying with El Kukui. What's it called? The
I love his
Boogeyman.
nickname.
Yeah. Yeah,
He's
it's
got that
something
nickname.
dark about it, and the reason why I find it intriguing, it's a little bit morbid, but I like morbid stuff. The reason why I'm intrigued by his name is how and why he identifies it. Like, what is
I've
implied
always
when
been
you're
intrigued by it too. I'll look it up
oh
and see what it means.
the boogie. Oh no, El Kukui is like demon or the boogeyman.
Oh, it is? Yeah,
Yeah,
he's had that name for a long time. He had that since The Ultimate
yeah.
Fighter.
And the question that I wanted to ask you is, I guess, like, what does it mean to identify with something so ghastly, so morbid, that you will want to bring that persona into into the fighting
What do you
world?
mean?
Like, think of what it implies to be the boogeyman. You're something that people fear. It's something that
Oh,
kids talk about
well,
you when you go under their bed. Yeah, I mean,
you know,
it could be like a cliche thing, like, oh, I'm tough because I'm the boogeyman, but
yeah. Look at
it's
you.
until someone actually like takes it within themselves and actually performs like in a really creepy way, and is such an unusual way that it makes people be taken aback and want to watch you more. Yeah, my question is, I guess, what does it mean to take that kind of, yeah, something that sticks with you, and not just physically but mentally? What do you think about
Well,
that?
it'll get you pretty far for a period of time anyway. If you have some skill to back it up, look at Yoni and Jacek. She intimidated everybody until Rose beat her.
Yeah, but
I feel,
she,
I feel like she's
I don't know.
technically
She was kind of
better.
the boogie woman, but I don't know if that really applies with her as much as it does Tony.
I don't know. I think Tony's probably better overall anyway. He's more well rounded.
But I'm talking about more of the personality. Like how do you
Oh
think?
yeah, he definitely catches on a lot more. I mean, a lot of people like him and a lot of people don't, but everybody wants to see him fight. Everybody wanted to see Joanna fight too, but she, even though she's an international star, I don't know what it's like over in Europe,
Well,
but
I'm more
over here,
talking about
she's not as big of a star.
right. But I'm more talking about I guess what do you think about having that kind of I guess what it implies about what your personality is that you would want to call yourself the boogeyman. I mean, yeah, El Kukui, the boogeyman, and you actually see him like exert some of that madness in the octagon. Like,
Mhm.
what does that make you contemplate?
I think it makes me think he's a smart guy. There's a method behind his madness, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like he puts his own training camps together. He picks his own coaches. He doesn't just go to a gym and get the coaches that are available to him to coach him there. No, he will do it himself, and he's got a self belief that a lot of the top athletes have.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's just got that mentality to where like I'm going right, like you said, I am the boogeyman. I am going to hurt you, and if you hurt me, I'm just going to turn around and do a somersault so you can't catch up to me, and I'm going to throw a spinning back fist at you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
That's what he does, man. Like who that gets hurt does that, or who that's. Well, I've seen him do this a few times too against like Josh Thompson and Danny Castillo. Like
Mm-hmm.
they'll go for a takedown on him. He'll literally do a somersault out of it.
Yeah.
It's like who I've never seen it before. He's so incredibly unique.
Yeah.
Can't believe he's won
It's a word
12
for it.
fights in a row.
Yeah.
12 fights in a row. He's 15-1 in the UFC. Give him a goddamn title shot, please.
Yeah.
Like it's starting to really make me mad. Do you have any idea that Conor McGregor is getting talked about for the next shot at Khabib again?
Uh-huh. I don't know if that's gonna
Like that's
happen.
a
I
that's a
doubt it's gonna
plausible
happen.
outcome. Oh my god! I
And
just even the talk about it, it makes me worried, honestly, because dude, the UFC has done stupider things. Remember when they gave Dan Henderson that rematch against Michael Bisping
yeah,
for the belt? I
yeah.
mean, they've done dumber things,
Mm-hmm.
or just as bad anyway. Like that really, dude. When you have so many contenders that deserve that,
Mm-hmm.
how is Connor gonna go and get a title? Because I don't doubt it. They offered Khabib the immediate rematch right after that fight happened, and he turned it down.
Yeah,
Hopefully, he and Ali are just really like,
but I don't think
no,
it'll
we
happen
need
though.
to.
So we
I
don't have
think
to worry
Connor
about
needs to
all of
win.
that.
I think Connor needs to win one or two more fights, or more than one more fight anyway.
Oh yeah, we'll get back to Connor and what he identifies with. But yeah, but just to talk about more about um how you're how you identify as a mirror to your personality. Yeah, it's a mirror to your personality, as is your ring name is a mirror to your personality. Someone like Lionheart, I mean, it implies that he'll just keep going until there's nothing
Yeah,
left. That he has a
I
heart of a
think
lion, a
that's
buyoko.
probably why that's possible to happen too, is because of Connor's personality.
Yeah.
But yeah, Anthony Smith. I mean, that sounds kind of like a. I've heard this. These aren't my words, but I do agree with it.
Mhm.
It sounds kind of like a cliche name, kind of like the Hitman. Like
I haven't heard of it a lot. I mean, I only the only thing I remember it from is Final Fantasy.
what? Really?
Final Fantasy 7. There's I think it's like Squall Lionheart. Yeah, it implies yeah,
Oh, when you heard of Lionheart, I didn't mean like it was popular. I just
right.
meant like Hitman is, yeah.
Oh,
Like
okay, that
Ricky
makes sense.
is a Hitman, Martin Campman's a Hitman. There's a bunch of them. But
Hmm.
yeah, I meant like it just sounds kind of cliche or corny. But for Anthony Smith, it fits him perfectly. It really does.
Yeah,
Like that dude has taken so much fucking damage in his career.
yeah.
Like you wonder why his nose looks the way it does.
Hmm.
I do. I think he's had to get plastic surgery. I think he's gotten it shattered a few times.
Mm.
Most people's noses don't look like that.
I don't know about that, but I don't know. But yeah, it's just
It looks
it's
like
a
it was put
testament to
together.
his toughness to see him fight in the
He's
ring,
very
and
tough.
also yeah, stay true to their namesake, which is kind of the same way Justin Gaethje tries to live up to his name being the highlight. And that's another thing about
Yeah.
identity is that the fact that some people want to live up to their nickname, to their personality, as opposed to it just being them just being who they are. I mean, some people
Mhm.
just have this personality or have this identity or this nickname just to as a way of them being who they are. But it's also something to aspire to.
Do you think Conor McGregor was like that before he came to the UFC?
Oh, and then had the nickname Notorious.
No, not just the nickname. He is notorious, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
But do you think he was that cocky and arrogant and
Uh,
that
I would think
stellar from
so.
Cage Warriors?
Yeah, because I remember. Oh yeah, I was watching this talk with Tony Robbins. Yeah, it was Dana White and Tony Robbins. He was talking about how he can tell that a UFC fighter will be big in the UFC, and he said it had the same qualities with Ronda Rousey and Conor McGregor. When he
Mm.
was in Dublin, I think it was when he was in Dublin, he was just I guess, getting a feel of the town, and he heard people talking about, "Hey, you got to see Conor McGregor. He's a real ass
Mm.
kicker."
Yeah, you're a lot. Everybody was talking to him
Exactly,
about.
and so that intrigued him, and so once he saw what he was about, he saw something within him that yeah, something within him that said, yeah, he's going to be a star. So yeah, there could be something that it could be the case that he was always like that.
That he was what?
That he was always like that.
I think he probably. I don't think he was like that entirely. I don't think he's really changed. I just think he's taken it up a notch.
Mm,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Because he's in the UFC now. He's got a bigger platform. I mean, it's kind of like if he did it there. I mean, Cage Warriors is a huge promotion in Europe,
Hmm.
but it's kind of like those cocky guys at amateur shows
Hmm.
that act like they think everybody's watching and they're a huge star and they're not.
Right.
So I just don't know if I didn't see. I've seen all his fights. I've been able to go back and watch them, but I didn't. I never seen any lead up, so I didn't know. 'Cause Colby Covington wasn't the way he was before he came to the UFC.
Right.
So
Give me 1 second. Just got to clear something up.
hmm
Uh, and yeah, that's a good point. And also, yeah, and the way he wants to be the pride of Ireland. The way he acts about, like, you'll never beat the Irish. Yeah, he takes that to heart as well.
you know it's funny. I remember when he beat Diego Brando, and right after the fight, he's like, "There's not a man alive that can come on this soil and beat me."
Yeah,
I want him to come back, win a fight, maybe two fights.
that's a good
Quit,
good thing you brought that up. Yeah.
quit. It's like quit being a dick rider and just give him two fights. Stop giving him an immediate rematch when he hasn't fought in a year and he got his ass whipped. Make him fight at least once against a high level guy or twice against. I don't even give a shit. Just make him fight a couple times before you give him another. Like, dude, if he doesn't beat Khabib this time, do you really want him to go from 23 to 21-5? Your biggest star? Let's get real about this. Like, come on. And I forgot where I was going with that. But
But yeah, yeah, but I like what you brought up with coming onto the soil. Like, yeah,
oh
like
yeah,
implying
yeah, and then
yeah,
have
he
the
knows
rematch
that
there.
yeah, he knows that he'll have the home field advantage because the
Yeah, that's
Irish
what I
are
meant.
very animated with their stars.
Yeah, that's where I was going with that. After he wins a couple more fights, after he comes back,
Hmm.
have him fight a couple times, and then do the rematch there,
Yep.
or give him a title fight there. Let's see if that's true.
All
A
right.
lot of people say I seen pictures of Cain Velasquez and shit that people were posting. And it's like, yeah, that's heavyweight. I think it's more logical to think in his weight class. But,
Hold
yeah.
that thought. We'll take a short break. We'll see you in part 2.